How's it going, guys? Another video. Car Sales Confessions with your host, Sher. I don't want to be boring, but let's have some fun, for real, okay? Guilt by association. Guilt by association. So when I was selling cars, we had a salesman named Andre. Andre was almost 2 years older than me. Andre was Russian. He is Russian, Ukrainian. And I would say in the very beginning we didn't get along. And Andre was a little bit of a troublemaker. But very, very smart, very, very sharp, excellent salesperson. Knew how to hold gross, knew how to switch people. But, you know, a little bit of troublemaker. Andre and I think it was Carl. Andre and another salesperson, they were constantly messing around, and they were joking around. Now, we had a receptionist that was a drama queen. We had a receptionist, and Andre bets the other guy $1 to see if he can go get away with saying something to her. You know, this guy was on his way out. He hated the job. He was looking to be out of the dealership. I don't remember which salesperson it was, but he was on his way out. So he bets him $1 to go up to this girl and say something. It was inappropriate, but the problem is that at first she took it as a ha ha ha, but then it was like, what does that mean? And then he actually tells her what it means. And oh my God, did a shitstorm start. They started a shitstorm and a half. She started crying, going to HR, complaining to managers, offended, blah, 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 right? And I wasn't a fan of her from the beginning because I saw her for what she was, and that's okay. Nonetheless, what was done was being wrong. I mean, that was a stupid thing to play. At this point, becoming buddies with Andre, friends with the other guy, right? It's a running joke in the store of what's going on, but it's not really funny because they got this person offended and she was crying. I'm nowhere near to be involved. I am on a test drive. I was actually test driving a Honda Civic with a customer. I was working a deal trying to sell a car. So finally, I am done with the customer. The customer leaves. We don't make a deal for whatever reason. So finally, I go up to my boys. I go, hey, what's going on? What's so funny? And then they tell me what's funny. And I'm just like, again, I'm 20 years old. So I'm like, whatever. And I'm like, a part of me thought it was funny. And a part of me was like, yeah, that's just wrong. That's just wrong. Now, for some odd reason, I had one manager who did not like me. Anytime he could bury me, he would. So the very next day, I come into work, and he sits down with me and he writes me up for being a part of this. And I'm just like, he's like, either you sign, and I'm like, you sign it or you're getting let go. And I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm like, I was on a test drive with a car. So why don't you go into higher gear? We were using higher gear at the time. Go into higher gear and see what I was doing yesterday at whatever time this was. I go, the worst thing I did was I maybe got a quick laugh in, but even I thought that was wrong. So they tried to get me to sign a write-up that of that nonsense. You know, my boy got Andre ended up taking a day off. Carl got fired. I don't remember. I think it was Carl. He quit anyway, but he was done. So it was like, whatever. All problems are resolved. I didn't get suspended, but like I got in trouble for being guilty by association around crazy, stupid stuff. And again, when you're a kid, you just don't know any better. Like, you know, you do some stupid stuff. It's like, whatever, right? I grew out of all that nonsense fairly quickly. But all I'm saying here is that you need to be careful who you hang out with. Be careful what you laugh at. Be careful what you associate yourself with, because somebody does something stupid and they're known for hanging out with you, you're going to get in trouble. That's how people get in trouble for a lot of the most idiotic things out there. guilt by association. So it was an interesting story that happened. I mean, you know, it happened to me 2 months earlier where I got in trouble for something really minuscule because of Andre. Now, fast forward 19 years, Andre is one of my best friends. He's been my best friend for probably 15 years now. You know, and obviously, you know, 40 years old, I'm 38, you know, we're both directors, you know, we're both higher up in our life. He's a finance director. I mean, he's, you know, one of the best out there. But the crazy stuff that we did when we were younger, you know, when we were coming up in the business. And again, that's another great dashboard confession or car sales confession, whatever you want to call it. But just be careful who you associate yourself with. My boy was a trickster. He paid the dollar, obviously. If everyone wants to know, he did pay the dollar. It was a dollar bet for something so foolish. And yeah, big company with HR. It's nothing but an HR nightmare. So anyway, with that being said, I'm going to come to you soon with another video. But go check out my book, Social Shares Skills That Pay the Bills. If you want to talk about automotive industry type things, hit me up. Let's talk. Let's see how we can help you level up in this game of automotive life. All right, guys, thanks so much. See you soon.